Hey, Miss Wilson here. Super quick video about simplifying negative exponents. Now, anytime you see a negative exponent, what that really means is that x to that power belongs on the other side of a fraction bar. You say fraction bar, you say there's not one. Well, there really is. Look, that's over 1. So what you need to do to make a negative exponent positive is you move the base, which is the x in this case, and the exponent to the other side, the whole thing to the other side of the fraction bar, and that changes that negative exponent to a positive exponent. Okay, now if I move all of that to the denominator, that's going to leave a 1 in the numerator. Now if there's something else up there, it would stay, but that's going to leave a 1 since we move that whole thing down, and that's going to be x to the 5th. Now that is really just a definition of negative exponents. So negative exponents, don't think about that as a negative number. I want you to think about that as where that x to that power belongs. So look over here to the right, I've got another one. Now notice again, I've got still x to the negative 5. Okay, now the 6 is not raised to the negative 5 power. Why? Because there's no parentheses there. So what happens here is the x to the negative 5 comes to the denominator. The 6 remains in the numerator. And then that is completely simplified. Now what happens if it's a more complicated problem and you have something in parentheses raised to a power? Okay, well, because this is in parentheses, that means that entire value inside, those two factors, the 6 and the x, move to the denominator. So it's going to be 1 over the parentheses stay. Why? Because what's being raised to the 5th power is the 6 and the x. Now if I were to simplify that further, that would be 1 over 6 to the 5th times x to the 5th, because that's what that means. Whenever you have multiplication in the parentheses raised to a power, that really means each one of those values is raised to the 5th. You could even simplify that further by evaluating 6 to the 5th. My pen just quit working. So I had to get my pen working again, but here we go. 1 over. Now, if you type 6 to the 5th power in your calculator, you could type in 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 5 times, right? Or you can hit 6, and then you might notice an exponent button that either looks like this, x to the y, or it looks like, people call that a hat key or a caret key to the 5th. And when you evaluate that, you get 7,776 times x to the 5th. So that would be completely simplified. This is almost better because you don't have to deal with that large number, but I would imagine more than likely they want you to completely simplify by typing in 6 to the 5th in your calculator. Again, that's 7,776, and then the x to the 5th remains. Hope that helps.